Always structured cabling is being the media to transfer the high-speed data that every day we see this growing very fast in the world. And actually what we're doing now, we're trying to put always the structured cabling ready for the next 3, 4, 5 years, because that's a media you don't change every day. So we have to be always ahead of the applications. For the currently, I mean, since more than 3 years, everybody was talking about the Cat6a, which is a solution that provides a 10 gig solution to the desk, which is actually beyond the requirements of today or even the next 4 or 5 years. What has impacted this environment is that the new wireless technology now is started talking about a 2.5 gig and a 5 gig, and which means that the read of a Cat6a solution today is a must, specifically that wireless is slowly taking over the data outlets traditionally provided with a patch cord to the device. So our expectation is that 10 gig is going to be for the next many years to come. However, if we're talking about wireless, it's 2.5 gig and 5 gig. And if we're talking about data center, then it's a totally different world. We can tackle that topic later. Structured cabling as a media, it's actually, as we say, it's always a transparent that supports most or 100% of the applications of today and possibly also of tomorrow. We don't see a lot of innovations in terms of the cable structure. Definitely there are companies having better quality of cable. Depends on the R&D, depends on the twisting of the cable, the percentage of copper, the diameter of the cable. So all these parameters can differentiate a quality. I mean, yes, copper cable is a copper cable, but it's not everybody of the brands that promoting the same product is having the same quality level of performance. So everything is related to the material used, the factory that's being used for production, as well as the R&D behind this standard. In terms of the advancements in structured cabling, that people are started looking for another layer above the layer 1, which is the physical infrastructure, which is actually called an infrastructure management solution. And that is actually, it's a link between the active devices and the passive devices, or a link between the layer 1 and layer 2 switches. So we are trying to provide customers with more manageable structured cabling with a lot of intelligence for security reasons, for adds, moves and changes of any network, network auditing 24-hour, 24/7 online, they're actually determining if there's any technical issue with any outlet in the building. All these kind of features are provided over that layer of software. There's actually, if we talk it the reality, there's no real difference in the cost of ownership. If I need to define the structured cabling medias today, I need to make a clear cut line between a normal enterprise cabling and a data center cabling. Because when you talk enterprise, you have a better, more vision. You can understand there's also some limitations in the speed requirements, on the bandwidth requirements of the active and the users, on the even wireless devices connected over enterprise. The area where we can see a lot of migrations happening, which quite faster a lot, is in the data center. And if I look at like a couple of years back, everybody say, oh, the minimum requirement is 10 gig. Now they started talking about 25 gig, and then they have another 50 gig. And even on fiber, they start talking 100 gig, 200 gig, and 400 gig. So that's the area where we can see a lot of variations happening. Then we are ask the customers to consider when they do data center, the approach has to be totally different and be ready for future. Always what we say, fiber has that advantages. I mean, we've been keeping saying that for the last 15, 20 years. But copper has proved to be a better media than fiber for many reasons as well, because of cost and because of cost of ownership as part of it, even the maintenance part of it, or operation and maintenance after that. However, we see that fiber is migrating again mostly strongly in the data center environment, not really again in the infrastructure or enterprise. As such a way that fiber remains to be a backbone media for the structured cabling, and the horizontal will remain to be copper. Nevertheless, we as Nexans, we have a technology today that's really replacing the copper with a total fiber solution and providing a more decentralized switching equipment down to the end user level, instead of having a central switch at the IDF or even at the building distributor. And that with technology, as you say, it's migrating from copper to fiber, giving more and more secured future for the customer, because everybody knows fiber compared to copper has no limited bandwidth as such. Fiber is always a solution that preferred over copper for so many reasons, as I said, for 10 reasons, right? The issue is that we cannot get rid of copper because still copper have an area or an environment. It's a lot better to use than fiber. So you have always to look at the optimal design, where to use the copper and where to use the fiber. The only fact that we have to always not to forget, the interface price, which is the switch, when you come with the core switch or even edge switch with fiber interface, it's quite more expensive than you considering the similar product in the copper interface. So it's not only about the media or the passive media is saving costs, but you have to consider when you connect the network active devices with full fiber base, definitely have to pay a lot more money compared to the copper. Now, where we will see the real migration of fiber over copper, when the price of the active starts really going down and the gap between the copper interfaces and fiber interfaces are really decreased to a limit, saying it's worth to think about going fiber all the way. In terms of the media itself, if I looked at even today networks, which is fiber to the home, which is highly deployed, for example, in United Arab Emirates. I mean, what we've heard that almost 93% of the UAE now is having the FTTH. Still always in that media, the last mile is copper. The last mile is not fiber. So you will always have the same structure, that fiber to the curb or fiber to the flat or whatever, but at the end of the day, you will always have the last mile of copper, because the last mile of copper will still support a lot of higher bandwidth, knowing that a length of the link is very much strongly linked to the bandwidth applied on the copper. So when you're saying a 10-meter link of copper, it can give a really high bandwidth where you don't need to think about having fiber instead. Our next news, I won't say it's new in Middle East partially, but been in Europe for about 10 years back already, which is our FTTO solution, or fiber to the office. That solution is really migrating totally the perception of having a copper network into a real fiber network. And the idea behind is that you will not need to have any more floor distributors. You need only to have one building distribution, go all over the way to the end user in a fiber at the outlet level, and then you have a switch providing 4 ports, 1 gig each at PoE+. The idea behind it is that you don't need to have any more telecom rooms in the building. So specifically, I think it's best utilized in airports, in big universities, in hospitals, where you don't need to think about, I need every 90 meters to have a telecom room to provide structured cabling on copper. So it's a future-proof solution, fully managed, and I think it has a lot of added values in terms of CapEx and OpEx when it comes compared to structured cabling.